Let's go, Trenton, straight into our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. We send, anytime someone comes to Trenton and me and they say, I got a refi, or my aunt is going to buy a new house, who should she get to do her loan?
Call Holly.
Holly takes good care of people.
eaglemortgagecompany.com.
Conventional FHA, VA, they do all of that. So feel free to talk to them if you're thinking about refinance or buying a new house, eaglemortgagecompany.com. So, Trenton, the big news this week was Joslyn Art Museum. Now, we knew from, maybe a couple of years ago that this was coming down the pike. There has been talk about a major addition. And a while back, perhaps about a year ago, people were talking about a signature piece of architecture. And I can remember a year or two ago, people saying, Omaha doesn't have enough of those world-class architecture buildings. And so Joslyn went and worked with an extremely prestigious architect, and renderings were released this week for a 42,000 square foot addition, $100 million project.
$100 million. I remember $100 million was a lot of money.
Do you know?
I think it still is, though.
In the late 1980s, when Jobbers Canyon was demolished and the Riverfront ConAgra campus was built, huge project, 5 buildings, and all of that sort of stuff. Do you know what the total cost of that was?
How much?
Only $60 million.
Really?
And so now, that just shows you how much has changed. Now,
to build all of ConAgra's campus
was $60 million. Now, one 42,000 square foot addition to an art museum, albeit a nice addition, is a $100 million project. That shows you what can change in 30-some years.
Absolutely.
But I like it. So have you seen the renderings?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I cannot wait to see what it's like. I cannot wait to walk through. It's going to take a few years. Scheduled opening would be 2024. The addition is going to be known as the Rhonda and Howard Hawks Pavilion, primarily focused on modern art. But as I look at the rendering, you see the classic 1930s Joslyn Museum with all of its Art Deco beauty. To the north, you see what I thought was a very nice, tasteful addition put on in the 90s. And then this would be kind of to the east of that. So if you're looking at the main steps going up to the iconic entrance to Joslyn, this would be to the northeast of that.
Okay.
But can't wait to see it. It's going to look great. And these are the types of amenities we want to keep adding in our city.
I think it's a huge refresher, but it kind of, you got the classic there, and you're refreshing it, and with the new Illuminarium coming and other hot spots, I think that this will bring people back to the Joslyn like never before.
Well, and we've always talked on the show about the importance of Omaha being the 3-day weekend destination. I mean, we're never going to be the place where someone takes a week-long vacation in January, for God's sake. But we want to be the place where someone does the 2 or 3 nighter over the weekend, because we have the great restaurants. And truly, we are a culinary capital of the Midwest. And with the new Science Museum, with improving an already good Joslyn, I know a lot of out-of-town people who thoroughly enjoy going to the Durham Museum as well. So, and then you throw in the zoo and some of the
music venues.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're really starting to step up that game and being more of that regional draw for someone taking that short vacation.
Anybody that lived in Omaha or visited Omaha 10 to 20 years ago, you won't recognize Omaha.
Yeah, and that's generally a good thing.
That's a positive thing.
Yeah. Hey, yesterday, or rather a couple days ago, Trenton and I were at the ribbon cutting for 8601 Dodge Street. This is that really long building. We've talked about it a couple times over the last year because it has been going through this huge renovation. Well, that is now fully done. And this was the building that, like I said, it's a really long horizontal building, 3 stories tall. It actually holds up the Leo A. Daily headquarters to the south. And we had a ribbon cutting because NP Dodge Residential Sales has one of its residential sales offices in there. We had kind of the official ribbon cutting. Mayor was there, a lot of the executives from the Dodge company. That building turned out really nice. And then we also mentioned last week that a freestanding Starbucks is under construction in the parking lot.
That's what that dirt is there for. They opened up part of the parking lot, and that'll be neat. And then there's room for another full-service restaurant to the east. and then they have some space on the second and third floors for office space.
Well, the Blackstone Improvement District is the entity, or I should say the Blackstone Business Improvement District, but that's the entity that kind of protects and looks after and coordinates efforts in and around the Blackstone District. And plans were released this week for a $4.5 million improvement package. Would really be focused on the streetscape, traffic flow. Basically, if you go through Farnham right now, which is the spine of the Blackstone District, there are 2 lanes going west and 1 lane going east. Proposal says let's narrow those lanes just a little so that it kind of makes for a little bit more of an intimate urban feeling, slows traffic down a bit, put in a center turn lane, and do a lot of lighting and sidewalk improvements. And one of the things they want to do, Trenton, and I know this from a couple of times stumbling from bar to bar in the Blackstone District over the last couple of years, some of those sidewalks as currently configured are pretty damn narrow.
Well, I don't see you stumbling anywhere.
A couple times, yeah.
Or
probably.
going bar hopping that often, at least not in Omaha. You might hide it when you go out of town or something like that.
A couple times.
But you hide it well. But it makes sense to put a foot or two more on the sidewalks. If you think kind of just to the east where Midtown Crossing is, they did a nice job on those sidewalks around those retailers, and you've got that diagonal parking there. And so I think it's due. I think that the lighting elements will be good, and it's a natural progression of all the economic development that's done around there in the Blackstone area.
And then, of course, we do have a project coming to the Blackstone area that we're very excited to see come out of the ground. That is the 9-story mixed-use building that would be immediately west of the Kimpton Cottonwood Hotel on what is primarily a surface parking lot right now. That thing cannot start soon enough because the renderings of that building, I think, are off the chart cool. So, Trenton, I took a little drive a few days ago on Harley Street, and we've been talking about this Harley Street Bikeway. Have you had a chance to drive it yet?
No. Is it in place?
It's cool, yeah. So it goes from downtown. Now, it doesn't go all the way down to the old market yet. It kind of stops temporarily where they're doing all that construction by the Juvenile Justice Center by the Douglas County Courthouse. But west of that, it goes all the way out to Midtown. And so what they've done, they took the southernmost lane on Harley Street, and
it's dedicated, right?
It's dedicated, and so now it became 2 lanes for bikes, so 2 little lanes. And then on the north edge of that, there are a whole bunch of these little plastic, they're kind of like plastic bollards. A bollard is, for those people that don't know construction terms, is one of those concrete-filled, yellow-painted metal tubes that prevents you from ramming your car into the quick shop or colliding with a window on a drive-through. They're like littler plastic versions of bollards, and they've painted some white lines. But they have parallel parking for the cars has moved out, and so you actually can parallel park your car in 2 or 3 blocks of parking spaces that are defined by paint and bollards. But that said, it is really cool. The only concern I have is how will these bollards hold up when city plows are recklessly pushing 2 feet of snow around? And I'm worried about jackasses who will maybe try and run the things over or something like that.
Hopefully not, but I think
hopefully I didn't give anyone an idea.
There'll be a lot of scooter drivers on that too, I bet.
Oh, yeah, I suppose there would be. I think it's a great idea. It looks cool as can be. And it's my understanding if this works well, it's kind of a pilot, they would make it more permanent. So I'm wondering if that would be maybe something a little more durable than plastic little sticks. But we'll see. Great idea. I think it will be used like crazy, obviously, during the good weather.
It'll definitely be watched.
Okay. Equitable Bank has just opened a branch office. So Equitable Bank is out of Grand Island, Nebraska. It's a $425 million bank. Been in Omaha for several years. Office right in Old Mill South. And so they decided, hey, we want to have a bigger presence here in Omaha. So they just opened this new branch office, and it looks great. It's at 202nd and Pacific, about 3,500 square feet, full service. And so if you're interested in checking that out, drive by sometime.
That's a hot area with the grocery store and everything.
Good grief. Yeah, it's amazing every time you go by there, all the construction that's happening. Well, that is your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. They know mortgages like nobody knows mortgages, and you can find them at eaglemortgagecompany.com. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.